Hello, everybody. A lot of publicity, a lot of talk about why Alireza Firouzja did not show up for the prize giving at the FIDE Grand Swiss, which was in Samarkand in Uzbekistan, which is a typical venue now for a lot of these bigger FIDE events. Now, in my opinion, I agree with Alireza because the main reason why I think, obviously, in general, you want to show up for prize giving, you want to be on the podium. However, there was too much of a difference between the third place and the top two places. The top two places got into the candidates. They're standing there really smug, really pleased with life. Understandably, they've achieved their aim, which is to qualify for the candidates. Every top chess player who was there at that tournament would have had that aim in the back of their mind that they wanted to qualify for the candidates. Alireza finished third. So in my opinion, there's too big a difference between the top two places and the third place. If you're standing there in the third place, you're going to feel like a loser because the other two guys have got what they wanted, which is to qualify for the candidates, right? And you haven't. Especially if you're like a top player like Alireza, who was one of the favourites going into the event. I actually tipped him to win the tournament, and he performed really well, actually. Just lost that one game against Parham, his good mate Parham. So I feel sorry for Alireza. Now he's getting a lot of abuse online, which I think is completely unwarranted. I completely understand why he's done that. I think he is a little bit of a, underachiever in a way, because he was the one who was prophesized by Magnus as potentially overtaking him and was going to be world number one at some point, and he hasn't quite lived up to that with all his talent. I think he's as talented as anybody, but he hasn't quite achieved. He's still a great player. I mean, you look at some of his games. I think partly the problem is that everybody else gets measured in comparison to Magnus, and obviously Magnus is one of the best players of all time. So therefore, you're always going to come up short when you get compared to someone like Magnus. Now, Alireza still has a lot of chances to qualify for the candidates. He still can qualify for the FIDE World Cup route. So there's only 2 spots available there. So you essentially have to get to the final. If you slip up before then, you're not going to qualify for the candidates. So there's 2 spots still available. I have a theory that Ding won't take up his booth in the candidates, because I think the guy who was beaten in the World Championship match, or the person who was beaten in the World Championship match, would then automatically get seeded into the candidates. However, Ding doesn't seem to be playing chess right now. So I'm not sure if he's necessarily going to play. That might open up a possibility of somebody else taking his place, maybe like an Alireza or something like that, right? Because he finished third in the Grand Swiss. But obviously that's conjecture. I don't really know. But yeah, I just feel like in general you want to show up for prize giving, but if you're upset, I must admit, like, the worst thing for me is a prize giving when you haven't won a prize or you haven't won. I remember one year I finished equal first at Hastings, and because I knew I should have won it outright, and there was like a 5 or 6 way tie, I just felt awful at the prize giving. I didn't hide how disgusted I was. Really, I just felt really bad. I should have won the tournament outright, and it should have been me getting the prize and not like a joint win. But looking back at it now, joint win at Hastings is a great achievement. So that's more important. But at the time, you got all those emotions. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Leave your comments down below. Do you agree with me that I think Alireza's getting, comments which I don't think are warranted in this situation? I think, in my opinion, I don't think they should do the podium like that, because, if you're going to have a podium, you need to have all 3 players qualify for the Grand Swiss, for the candidates, and then Alireza would have turned up. I think in a way it's partly a protest about the fact there's no sort of like tie breaks. If there'd been a rapid play and blitz tie break, Alireza would have been big favourite to, say, between the 3 of them. Let's say you've had the 3 of them had like, because they were the top 3, in terms of a tie break. Obviously, Anish Giri was the top on score, and then you had the next 2 on tiebreak on that score. Obviously, other people on the same score as Alireza and Bluebin, like Vincent Keimer. But if you'd have just had those two in a playoff, if he'd had a playoff, Alireza had a playoff against Blueburn, he'd have been big favourite to qualify. So there's also that argument as well. My other argument would be that the candidates, the way they used to do it with matches, was a much fairer way of getting the qualifier for the World Championship. Anyway, those are my thoughts. So leave your comments down below. Another idea I had actually was to have the world champion Gukesh in the candidates. Put him in the candidates. If he wins the candidates, it could be like a wild card thing. If he wins the candidates, he doesn't then have to play a world championship match. Do you think that's an interesting idea? It's just an idea that I had. But I probably wouldn't really go well with FIDE because I think they make a lot of money out of this. It's a big thing having that world championship match. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Please leave your comments down below. Please like and subscribe so the video can get promoted on the algorithm.